I'll finish.
Hello parents, my name is Luke Stanton. I am a board member and coach in the Waltham Youth Hockey Program. And today I just wanted to explain briefly the tryout process for the 2015-2016 season. First and foremost, and most importantly, we'll be having tryout signups on March 3rd up here at the rink. You come up, sign your child up, and you'll get a penny. Secondly, we'll be having the Pro Ambitions portion of the tryout on the 10th and 17th of March, and then the actual tryouts will start during the week of March, the middle of March. And I want to explain to you now a couple of things regarding how the tryout process works. And this is from the level of squirt all the way through midget. It changes a little bit at mite, but we still have an evaluation process of the mites. First and foremost, before the coaches ever take the ice or the evaluation committees, there's a brown manila envelope that comes to each committee head, whether it's mite, squirt, peewee, bantam, or midget. And that is from Pro Ambitions. Pro Ambitions is now here doing the skill session, and the last night of skills, when your child goes in March, they will be evaluated and they will write out a form as to their evaluation of your child's hockey talent. The second thing that happens also over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks is Mr. Jan Thibodeau, the coach's rep, sends every coach a package that has an overall player summary and an individual player summary. So, for example, this is one from a peewee team from last year. The coach was responsible for ranking his players 1 through 15 players on this team in terms of their hockey talent, and also for each player to do a separate sheet describing that player's skating skills, puck handling ability, shooting, hockey sense, competitiveness, and character. These items are turned in by each individual coach to the coach's rep prior to the actual tryouts taking place, because they become very important during the tryout process. So those 2 things are received before the players are actually on the ice and being looked at by tryout committees. And if I could for a minute explain to you, we have a lot of players trying out this year. If everybody that was involved this year signed up again for next year, we would have a total of 80 mites trying out, we'd have a total of 73 squirts, 69 peewees, 90 bantams, and 79 midgets, which is a lot of players that have to be placed. The next portion that happens is the actual tryouts when the players are on the ice. Each level has a committee that is comprised of 1 person from the board and 4 other evaluators. The responsibility of the evaluators is to go on the ice over the first 2 nights of tryouts, and they're given essentially a blank sheet with just the penny numbers. They watch the players out doing practicing, or rather playing actual hockey, and they are making down grades of what they see as to the hockey players battling for pucks, skating ability, shooting ability. And what they're doing is they're just writing down numbers, usually a number from the level of 1, meaning the 1 team, to the level of 5, 6, 7, however many teams there are. And what they do is they just write the numbers across the board, and then at the end of that night, they do not keep the sheets, they're turned over to the Waltham board. That happens for 2 nights. It's also important to remember that the committees do not see each other's scores. Those go to the Waltham board, and someone comes into this room, and they're then tabulated on an Excel spreadsheet. That's the first 2 nights of tryouts. Now, after the second night of tryouts, before the third night of tryouts, when they put all the numbers through Excel and they come up with a ranking system, we have the coaches of the players from each level come in for their level and review with the tryout committee where the players were placed. And you recall earlier I mentioned to you the coaches come up with their rankings. Jan Thibodeau actually puts them in separate books. So we have a peewee ranking book and a squirt ranking book. This is the one that was used by the peewees last year. And for each team, from peewee 1 to peewee 6 last year, each evaluation by the individual coach is contained in here. They sit down with those books in this room, as well as the coach, and he examines where the players on his team this year ended up in the tryout for next year. And what this allows the coach to do is, looking back at his rankings, if the tryout committee missed something, the coach can request to flip players within from his team. So, for example, if a coach is coaching let's say a squirt 3 team, and he comes in and looks at the numbers, and the player he had rated the highest didn't have a good first 2 nights of tryouts, but should be switched with another player, he can ask to have that done. It's important to remember that he makes that request, and the tryout committee does that. because the third night when the tryout committee goes out, they get the Excel spreadsheet, but it is also color-coded. And this color code tells the actual tryout committee that a green player is being pushed up and a red player is being pushed down. So what the evaluators saw on the first 2 nights of tryout is being challenged a little bit, and they have to watch these players closely to determine, was that an appropriate switch by the coach. And in truth, this works out very well. I did the Pee Wee committee last year, and there were maybe a total of 3 players that a coach had asked to have moved, different coaches, and the committee felt that it was not proper to move them. And then the committee finally comes in this room again after the last night, and they pick the teams based upon their rankings from the first 2 nights, the input from the coaches, the review of prohibitions, and what they saw on that last night, and it comes out with the actual teams. What can be an issue is a player may be ranked the 15th player on the top team, but if the top team is only comprised of 13 players, that player could go down to the second team. So we have to be careful as a board that we know when we're ranking the players approximately how many players are going to be on each team, and we don't know that until we have the actual signups for the tryouts. So that is what the players go through at each level. The goalies have a different tryout process. We have a goalie tryout committee comprised of Mr. Garagosian, and we have actual coaches who were goaltenders. They will be evaluating the goalies separately. However, the coach of the team from where your child is coming from as a goalie also will be passing in a sheet that is put in with that goalie tryout committee. So based upon all of those factors, Waltham Youth Hockey tries to pick teams. It's important to remember that because we're a town program, we're responsible for placing every child at a level. When you come in to sign up, we oftentimes have photocopies of some of the other programs, whether it's the Wizard, the Junior Bruins, Bach Blazers, so that you know there are other teams your child can try out for. They do have cuts in those programs, and your child either makes it or doesn't make it. In Waltham, we spend a lot of time with a lot of different people going through the proper placement of not only the best players in the program or the worst players in the program, but all the players in the program. And as a result of that, we come up with teams. So that is a quick rundown of the process. If you have any questions, you can email Jan Thibodeau or Mark Hickey. And best of luck to your child in the tryouts this year, and I hope they make the appropriate team. Thank you.